I'm frequently asked how to take apart a shakuhachi that has a joint, but the joint is kind of frozen. What you don't want to do is twist it off, because that wears away the Japanese lacquer, or the Urushi, that has been painted onto the joints, which are really pieces of bamboo that fit inside one another. What you have to do is, in a sense, shimmy off one out of the other. And you do that by using both hands. You take one hand and have two fingers above the joint, two fingers below the joint, and the thumb also above the joint. With this hand, you're going to press upward with the thumb and press downward with these bottom two fingers. So this hand is kind of doing that. It's applying a downward and an upward pressure. This hand is going to hit between these two fingers that kind of makes the flute kind of jerk a bit to loosen up the edge. So if you notice, there is no space between the joint at the moment, but by applying this pressure, downward pressure with my bottom two fingers and upward pressure with my thumb, when I hit it, you could almost hear it kind of open up. This flute was, by the way, very, very tight. Now already there's a little bit more space. And notice that every time I hit it, I'm kind of going upward, and then I'm also rotating the flute. And that's slowly opening the hole. You can see the hole, not the hole, the joint. It's already come up a bit more. It takes a bit of time. You don't have to hit it too hard. You don't want to hurt your fingers, but as I gradually move it around, then I can start maybe one or two at a time. And the further apart it gets, now it's coming even further, the easier it will get. Until finally, you can kind of feel it coming apart. So you notice how long it's taken me to get this flute. You see it's still there, but it's getting much more open. I still just keep rotating. It's very important to rotate it. It's getting better. More open. Don't rush it. When it reaches about this stage, when it's about a centimeter or so open, then you can probably safely twist it, but may not want to. I've now reached this point, and now with just a single tap, it comes apart. Once you clean the joint, having taken it apart with tissue paper or clean cloth, make sure you get all any buildup of gunk or whatnot out of both ends of the joint. Then you can get some sort of lubrication, Vaseline. I've got this Badger cream that's may not last as long as Vaseline, but it's all natural. Put a bit in the top joint and along the edge, and again you put some around the bottom part of the joint and around the edge. You don't want to get it inside the flute though. Then you have to line up the little marks that are off in the back of the flute. They line up so that they're going to come together. If the flute doesn't have those marks, you just have to line up the holes by eyesight, which works just as well too. And with a bit of lubrication, the flute comes together very easily. There's the marks are together, the holes are in line. And now with that joint being lubricated, it's very easy to take it apart. See, it's coming apart already very quickly. Already off. By the way, if the joint of your flute becomes very loose, that's indicative of two things. Either it's become very dry, the weather's become dry. You need to make sure that you keep the humidity up with the flute. Keep it in a plastic bag, maybe have a damp-it or some sort of humidifier inside the flute in the plastic bag. But often what it means is that you haven't practiced. You haven't played your flute very much, because by blowing into the flute, of course, you are humidifying the flute. So very often when I hear a student telling me, oh, the joint of my instrument has come loose all of a sudden, what happened? I can say, well, one thing I can guess is that you haven't practiced your flute as much as perhaps you should. Okay.